So I kind of got cut off there, but that's just one assessment tool that you can use. On page 197, there's guidelines for authentic assessment. So if you go through the teacher's notebook, there's choose the appropriate assessment tools, use of a variety of assessment tools, integrate instruction and assessment, keep a positive focus, consider both processes and products, consider multiple contexts, focus on individual students, and teach students to self-assess their learning. So that's another way to assess their reading and writing, is have them work with a partner and have them look at each other's material. So that would be like peer assessments. Individual assessments would be they go through their material with a checklist and then they match it to the checklist or something like that. You can also take anecdotal records of students, and I know I've talked to you about this before, but I'm bringing it up again. Anecdotal records are basically a running record of how the student is progressing when they're working with you. So carry a clipboard with you or a scribbler or something to document their reading process. So where are they struggling, where are they improving, stuff like that. And you just write it down, and then you can give it to the teacher when you're done, or you can keep it on them so that if they're ever wanting to test a child for anything later on, you already have all this written knowledge on paper for them, and it saves a ton of work, because the document process to get people tested is actually quite lengthy. Anyway, that's there's classroom observation where you walk around, and there's anecdotal notes and conferences. Generally, the conferences are with the teacher and the parent. So those you would not be part of, but there's checklists on page 200. There's miscue analysis on page 201. I really want you to read that if you're ever going to help students with writing and reading, actually. And running records, basically just keep anecdotal notes. If you want to see what miscues look like, and this is the reason I don't have a slide on it, is because in your book on page 202, and I guess I should be back at this slide, not here. Back at page 202 and 203, there's a miscue analysis, and then there's a running record on the next page. So you can see, if you look at Little Bear's first snow, it began to snow, but they said it because to snow. So it tells you how to go through, and um, anytime they get a word wrong, they put the capital T, so the teacher corrects them. Or you can put a capital T too. It just depends on how the teacher wants you to correct it, but it's similar to this. And so anytime that it has, they make a mistake, you show what the correction is above it. And then you just go through it like that. And if they omit a word, you mention that on the paper. If they self-correct, you put SC. If the teacher tells the word because the student doesn't know it, then you have to write down the word that the teacher says. So in that first example where it because to snow, I think that's how they interpret this paper anyway. Write the word T above it. So the teacher tells the word snow because they didn't know it. So it because to, and they wouldn't say anything else. So the teacher says snow. Little Bear did not, and then there's an underline word. So that's, they took a while to say those two. So they might have sounded it out, or they might have said part of the word, or they might have hesitated for a long time. They might have skipped it and then went back and tried to do it. So attempt to decode would be those lines like that. And repetition, they repeated the word. Teacher correction, self-correction. Oh, okay. Repetition would be the did not. So Little Bear did not. They didn't know the word. Care is what they came up with, it looks like. and then the teacher had to say no, what was ha hap happening. So you write exactly what they say, and then the teacher says happening, and then you just go through it like that. Anyway, miscue analysis. There's informal reading inventories, but you probably won't have to do those. There's implementing portfolios in the classroom, and the teacher would be in charge of that. But you could keep track of their good stuff and their okay stuff and their really good stuff. So you could help there. So you can go through the portfolios if you like. That's on figure 513 of page 205. There's an assignment checklist. So if you're working with someone and you're working on an organization, that might be something that you might use. Rubrics are something that teachers are using more and more. Even in this class, you guys seem to like the rubrics, so I keep creating them just for you. It also helps me, like with my marking, it speeds it up a lot, and I'm more focused, I guess. So there's rubrics on page 208, 209. And then there's a review, and there's a theory to practice at the end of the chapter. So that's the end of this one. If you have questions, give me a holler. Now we're going to switch books to the other one. So chapter 5 in Gursky. So you've already seen this slide, but I'm going back to it. Chapter 5 Gursky, about reading for meaning. So that's where we are. So the importance of reading comprehension is where this chapter starts off. If you could read that and then do the self-test on the next page, on page 89. The answers are on the next page, so please cover those up or don't turn the page, and then check and see if you were right. Research about reading comprehensions on page 90. The scientific research on text comprehension instruction reveals important information about what students should know about text comprehension and how it should be taught. The following key findings are of particular interest and value to classroom teachers and paraprofessionals in the language arts classroom, so that's you. Comprehension strategies are conscious plans, set of steps that good readers use to make sense of text. Comprehension strategy instruction helps students become purposeful, active readers who are in control of their own reading comprehension. To help with reading, especially with phonemic awareness and stuff like that, I've included a video in Moodle. It's quite long, but it's very good. If you ever want to know how to get kids to read better, this is an awesome approach to doing it. It's just using phonograms to teach reading. So it's like a 43-minute video, so it's quite lengthy, but it's actually very well done. I would go and watch it if I were you. If you're ever planning on working with anybody who's beginning to read, this is a must-watch video. Normally I don't say that in class very often, but this one I want you to check out if you're ever working with kids who are going to learn how to read. It's quite lengthy. Grab a cup of something to drink and sit down and enjoy it. Take lots of notes though as you're watching it, because they give really good strategies, and you can figure out why kids are making so many mistakes with different letters and sounds. Anyway, that's just my 2 bits. Your next slide, if I have time, it's 6 comprehension strategies plus 2 more on page 191 and 96. If you can read through that, that would be kind of neat. Talks about monitoring and metacognition, and it goes through what metacognition is, so if you don't know, it's there for you.